These ticky-tack ticks are keeping my books from getting a 9.8. Hey there, today I have a comic book pressing video, and in this video I'm going to show you how I successfully removed a couple of minor dents right in the middle of a comic book. I had recently unboxed an order from Things from Another World, and it was maybe like a 10 or 12 book order. It was a stack of comics, and all of the books in the entire order were all impacted in the same place. So just to kind of show you, I'm not going to bend these, but so if you have a stack of books and you kind of like fold them, like take a stack of books like this, and no, I'm not going to do it, but if I did do it and I kind of crush them a little bit together, just squeeze them a little bit in this direction, there could be some sort of crease or fold or impact, and of course also possibly even a color break right in the middle. So I don't know if the weight of all of the books, even though it wasn't that large of an order, I don't know exactly what caused the impact directly in the middle of all the books, but it was definitely something I think that happened in transit, because I imagine all of the books came into TFAW in different shipments and so forth, so it was weird that every book had the same impact in the center of the spine. The good news is, for the most part, most of the books, it didn't break color, but it was a severe enough of a crease and a dent that it would most likely get a 9.6. I'm sure there are probably some 9.8s that have a crease like that, but for me, from a presentation standpoint and for a modern book, it's just not something that I want in a comic, and I thought I would show you how I get this out of a brand new book that does not have a lot of history with that particular defect. And what I mean by that is, if you're dealing with like a Silver Age or a Bronze Age book, something that has had a crease on it for about 40 years, it can be difficult to train that book again, or essentially get the book and the paper to forget that the crease exists. With a brand new book that was essentially impacted during transit, the defect occurred recently, and you're able to undo that. And if you leave the book in a cold press long enough, you can sort of retrain it. So in this sort of walkthrough video, I'll first show you how I assess the book. I'll show you the damage in the two spots kind of in the middle, the crease that I'm talking about, specifically where it does look like the book was just folded just slightly enough to create that little bit of impact. I'll show you the tools that I use, and then the methods for how I put the book together for the quick press. And lastly, I'll show you how everything turned out. All right, here is the book that I'll be working on today. It is She-Hulk number 4. This is the Russell Dodderman variant, where it's got the different character costume iterations, different versions of the character. Love all of these. And I noticed that when I opened up this order from Things from Another World, pretty much every single one of the books had the same problem, which is it has just a couple of the dents right here, these creases on the cover, almost as if the books were just impacted right in the middle of the stack. So every single book in the order essentially kind of graded out as either a 9.4 or a 9.6. Here specifically in two places, right there, and then also right in here. Now, I had, even with that impact, the rest of the book is completely pristine. So what I ended up doing is giving it a 9.6, but indicated that it needed a press. Now, really what that means is I've got to figure out a way to get those two creases out of the cover. And you could certainly just put this into your press and give it a quick press, but what I like to do with these sorts of creases is first go over the spine with a tack iron. So I'll be showing you how I do that. My supplies are basically the tack iron itself, a sheet of SRP paper, one backing board. In this case, I'm using a chamfered backing board, which just means that it has been modified so that the sort of curvature of the board fits better along the spine. And what I've noticed is by using these boards and putting it inside the front cover, it almost makes the cover page like pop up a little bit from the first page. It gives it a little bit of lift. So if in the case of a book like this, you're almost kind of inclined to open the cover and almost just run your hand along the side to kind of like push the crease back out. So that's kind of what the chamfered board is doing. You can certainly just use a standard magazine backing board, but it almost cuts right into the cover itself. I have damaged books using a tack iron because I put the magazine board in, and then when I ran the tack iron along the spine, it just added a crease where the board hit. So I like to use the chamfered boards for work such as this. An alternative to this approach is certainly just to go ahead and add a bit of steam here on the edge and start to work on the book either with a tack iron or go straight into the press itself. What I like to do is use a little bit of distilled water on top of the SRP paper so that when the heat of the tack iron meets the SRP, it adds almost a little bit of steam to kind of let the paper relax. So that's the assessment. We're working on a 9.6 that just needs a couple of minor creases buffed out, and then it should be ready for a quick press. Okay, I'm going to put the chamfer board inside the front cover. And even just placing the board in there and pushing it as far as it can go without too much pressure, it almost, like I said, makes the dents in the spine almost just pop back out on their own. And then I want to just mark kind of where I need to be working, which is about right here on this line, number 5, and then a little bit here on 7. Just again, smoothing it out right in here, and then getting the crease that kind of moves in about maybe ½ an inch right here. So on these two lines on my cutting mat, I'm just going to make sure, because once I put the paper over, sometimes it's difficult to see, so I just kind of mark where the work needs to be done. So I'll place the sheet of SRP paper on top of the book, and then I'm just going to gently wipe the book along the spine right around the spots that need the work with the tack iron. And so this just adds moisture to the SRP paper. And then I'm going to kind of grab the cover just to hold it down in place as I work over the trouble spots right there along the spine. So there on the first line, kind of getting out that little dent, and then up on line 7, same place, just working in a circular motion, and then just kind of moving it along the chamfered board. And really, that's all it took. Basically, the crease is gone. So I don't want to overdo it. The pressure that I used simply was probably maybe about a 2 out of 10, with 0 being no pressure at all and 10 being the most pressure you could put down on a book. And just, again, just gently moved in a circular fashion, and then also just moved up and down the spine like that, putting very, very light pressure on it with the chamfered board. The combination of a little bit of moisture, which again, it's not much, but it adds almost like a little bit of steam, if you will, that transfers through the SRP into the book, plus the chamfered board, makes it super easy to get out, I would say, a very, very basic and common pressable defect. All right, so now that we're done with the tack iron work, I can take the chamfered board out and show you the book before the quick press. Well, it may not even need it, but here it is. You can see right there, there's just some remnant, some history of the dent being there. So here by my thumb and right there by my forefinger, like that's where they used to be. And while you can still see just a tiny bit of that crease being there, and it may just slightly, it's hard to tell if it's breaking color just slightly there, but there is just a little bit of paper history that you could see. So it is flat, but it's missing the dent. So as I move the light back and forth, you can see it's completely flat. It's just there's a line there from where the crease used to be, and that's where the quick press will get the rest of that out for me.
So it's tempting just to do the tack iron work and say, oh, it's done, I got rid of the tick, let's send it in. But especially with this being a Marvel book, and it doesn't have a lot of page waves or anything to it, but it looks very, very clean here. The corner looks sharp. There's really no other defects that I can see. Very, very sharp book. I am worried just a tiny bit of color rub right there. Not much I can do about that. But this one is ready for a quick press. So I'm going to go ahead and get this book ready to go. And then after the quick press, we should see these two defects basically more or less blend in with the rest of the book. And it should be a 9/8 after quick press. Okay, we are a go for quick press. So right now I have my press warming up. I'm going to press it at 150 degrees Fahrenheit for 10 minutes. I'm trying to let it warm up for about 15 to 20 minutes. So while that finishes, I'll go ahead and put the sandwich together. So I'm going to take the book here, take the chamfered board out. And as far as my supplies go, I need 2 magazine backing boards. I use 2 65-pound cardstock sheets, 2 sheets of 100-pound cardstock, and then 2 sheets of SRP. So the first thing I'll do is find the center, and I'll need 1 more magazine backing board. I use a magazine backing board right in the middle, and not really push the board in, so to speak. It's just sort of lining it up right next to the staples and then just closing the book. And then I'll turn the book over, and with Marvel new releases, we have to find the digital sticker. And in some cases, there won't be one, just like this. So for this book, I do not need those 100-pound cardstocks. I don't know why some of them don't have it. Is this a super secret variant? I have no idea, but I don't need to put the 100-pound cardstock. If you saw a sticker there, you need to put a sheet there, and then on the back, and then on this page, so that that sticker does not press through the other pages. But in this case, I don't need to do that. So I'll take my 100-pound cardstock and I'll put that aside, and then load up the book with a sheet of 65-pound cardstock. Again, just gently put that between the back cover and the last page, and then do the same thing for the front. All right, so the sandwich is ready to go, and with the press all warmed up and ready to go as well, I'm going to go ahead and put in my magazine backing board, sheet of SRP paper. I'm going to load it up with the spine, hitting the back of the clamshell, another sheet of SRP, and the last magazine backing board, glossy side up. And I also a top plate, and it's ready to go. And I'll gently close it and leave it for about 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes, I will turn the press off and then let it sit in the cold press for about 4 to 6 hours. I'll check the book and then add it to a different cold press once I've confirmed that the heat press did what it was supposed to do. All right, here we go. The book has been in the press for maybe 2 or 3 hours. It should have been longer, but I actually had an interim step. I took the book out of the press the first time, and I noticed it had the presser's crease, which is super annoying. So I reduced the pressure, and then I tried a little bit of a different method that I'll show you here in hopes to get the presser's crease out. So let's take a look at the book. Open it up, the top plate. So I put a piece of SRP paper between the first page and the cover, and then the 65-pound cardstock I put between the first page and the second page, and then have the magazine backing board in the middle. Same thing on the back, 65-pound SRP. Here we go. This seems to look a little bit better. It does have a presser's crease, but I think it was there before. But I did reduce the pressure. I don't know, you could just see, this is the thing that annoys me, that again, professional pressers will say, don't worry about this sort of line, it'll come out. I think that that's them saying that reversion will occur. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the cold press for a few days just to see if it comes out. But I did want to point out the main point of the exercise was really about getting those couple of dents. There was one here and one here. I think right there is where it was. I think that with that little dot was kind of the indicator of where it was before. It's gone. Same thing here. So is this a 9/8? I'm not sure, just because of the crease. You can look at the back too. A little something right there, a little color rub. It's like, ugh. I feel like it just feels like a 9/6 still, or if this crease doesn't come out, then obviously it's worse than that. But
This is just kind of what I deal with all the time, just trying different methods. It still could have been just too much pressure. But I'm going to try the cold press, and it'll probably stay in the cold press for about a week. But the main point is that the creases were gone. So what I want to check in a couple of weeks is if, right in here you can see it's a pretty good shot with the light. This is really, really smooth. Those two dents and creases are completely gone, and we're good to go with this book. Now I just need to make sure that reversion doesn't occur. So that's it. That is my method for taking out creases along the spine using a tack iron. Thanks for watching, happy collecting, and see you next time.